Hello everyone, Slash W here. I decided to do another fair video. This was actually asked by King Sombra is the best pony a while back. Asked me if there could be some sort of connection between King Sombra and the Tree of Harmony. To be honest, I don't even know if there's any sort of connection between Sombra and the Tree of Harmony. The only known connection that I know for sure is that Celestial Luna found a tree and that it was actually planted there by the old pillars a millennia ago, and it grew into this tree, and but and also that they are connected to the main six since they are now the current bearer of the elements. But otherwise, is there any slight remote chance that the tree could be related or had any sort of connection to Sombra? To be honest, I'm actually not sure. But the only thing that I could think of if this tree and Sombra has any sort of connection, since we all know that as Sir Nebula explained that they actually carried that every seed of the crystal they planted before they disappear was representing their part of the S element, except for different name. So, what if they actually got these crystals from Crystal Empire at the same time when Sombra was still in the power in the Crystal Empire, and that some of the crystals from the Empire had managed to leave to well had managed to be transported away from the Empire at the same time when Sombra took over its power. So if that is true, and then perhaps that Starshrill found these crystals and found them as very unusual ones, with different, very unique powers, or especially special unique abilities, and that after that he and the other heroes became the old pillars of Equestria, and he gave them each of those crystals to each member to what they're going to show their part as ability, like sorcery, healing, strength, and so on. And that this, and then they actually felt this connection to those crystals, and they planted this in the ground, which later transformed into the Tree of Harmony, which evolved to the new elements of harmony. So, if that is the only connection that I can think of, that those crystals is actually part of was once from the Empire, it managed to escape Sombra's grasp before he managed to collect all the crystals just for himself, and those crystals somehow managed to be smuggled out from the Empire at the same time when Sombra took over, and that they actually remained unheard of to Sombra. He managed not to never find out those crystals was actually by secretly smuggled out from the Empire until somewhere else in Equestria. What if there's some other crystal or some pony who actually did some trading with some of the crystal ponies and gave then ended up the crystal pony gave the other pony those crystals, and perhaps some and Starswell at some point after that found those crystals from this particular pony and bought them, paid for them, and studied them, and discovered that you had a very unique abilities. And at some point after that, he and the other pillars saved Equestria from some the sirens and some other things. And that he gave them each of the crystals that showed them to be active, somehow being active by those particular pillars of the heroes, showing some great abilities and has enhanced this on their abilities like speed, maneuvers, even though somehow slightly better. But that is just some random theory of things that, but it could happen. So if the crystals and Sombra had any some remotely connection, the only thing I can think of that they could actually came from the Empire itself, and that they managed to escape the Empire's grasp from Sombra when he took over. Either if they were smuggled out or if they were sold to Zomponi just before Sombra took over, and that he was then unaware of those special unique crystals was out there somewhere in Equestria, and that one day they could be harmed to one day could actually somehow been transformed into this tree of harmony and later found by Celestia Luna to use those elements against him later on. Because if he had known this could happen in the future, those particular crystals would end up to turning into the elements of harmony, which could be again used against him to banish him into the frozen Arctic North. But that is just one slight thing there. We know that Sombra lived before the elements of Tree of Harmony was even formed. So, Sombra lived some time after the Tree of Harmony was formed. So, if this is true, what happened? What if those crystals was actually found by some ponies? Some crystal pony sold them to some random pony somewhere in Equestria for some money, and they traveled around Equestria from, or but just forgotten, and then Starshore found them with the pillars, or that he found them, and later gave them to his friends, and they planted those crystals, and later was growing and turning into this tree, and then the elements were later used against Sombra. That is the only possible idea that I think is most likely. That if it seems the tree was given the opportunity for Luna and Celestia to banish Sombra in the future, 1,000 years later, but it's seen the first part of the theory that they managed to escape the Empire before or at the same time when Sombra took over, it wouldn't then be possible. Because even if that is true, we don't even know how long time it took for the tree, those crystals to grow into a tree. It's going to take a year or perhaps several years before the tree was in the full grown tree. And at that time, perhaps Sombra has already been ruling the empire for several years. But still, we don't even know how far or how fast the tree grew. Perhaps it grew only overnight, and took maybe some time to gain full strength, which the elements was found by Luna Celestia, used them against Sombra. But otherwise, the only slight additional is the connection between the elements and especially the tree and Sombra is that the tree itself was actually made from those crystals, was found in the Empire, either sometimes before that Sombra was even born, and that they were sold by some crystal pony to sell after some pony in Devon, and sometime by forgotten, and then Starshold found them and gave them to his friends, and they planted them before they entered the battle against the Pony of Shadows, and these crystals grow into this tree, and the elements was born as well and later used against him. So the only other second possibility that I believe is most likely to happen is actually that the elements that the tree of harmonies that the crystals was made of was found sometime before, long time, maybe sometime even several years before even Sombra was even born, perhaps a century before the element, even before Sombra was even born. And they were sold some to some pond in Equestria and forgotten. Starshot found them, get to his friends, they planted a tree that see the crystals informed into the tree, and so on. That is the only most logic explanation I can find or even think of as any connection between the tree and Sombra. So, what do you all think is that? Do you think that this theory is the only that it could be logic as why this as on it could be a connection between the Tree of Harmony and King Sombra? I know that this perhaps is a far stretch as a theory, but you bear with me here. This is the only possible idea I think it could be most possible as a theory and as a connection between those two, between Sombra and the tree. And King Sombra is the best pony. I hope you at least accept this theory because that was the only I could think of. And if anyone else has your own opinion or thoughts about this theory, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, this is Switch Double over and out.